means you're a loser. Everything woke. Everything woke. It's true. Everything woke turns to shit, okay?
You can say what you want about Donald Trump, but there's no denying he's a bulldozer tearing through the heart of American culture, and nothing seems to stand in his way. Every speech, tweet, and interview is just another swing at the woke movement. And the truth is, you can't ignore how determined he is to take down what he sees as the ever-growing monster. For Trump, woke culture isn't just an annoyance, it's a full-blown crisis. In his eyes, wokeness has gone so far that it's begun to stifle free speech, infringe on personal freedoms, and promote what he calls insanity in our society. Today, we're diving deep into some of Trump's most iconic moments where he absolutely destroys woke culture.
What would the first thing you'll do to fix our current school system and even our current military that's only focusing on teaching woke gender ideology over learning the basics of life and history and protecting us?
So, a good question. Some of it partially answered, but not all. With the military, we're ending woke immediately. You know, I ended woke, totally.
We all know Donald Trump. He's been in the spotlight for decades, whether it's his time as a real estate mogul, reality TV star, or of course his run as the 45th President of the United States. Love him or hate him, he's a name that grabs attention. In one of his famous takedowns, Donald Trump wasn't shy about calling out what he sees as a serious problem in America's education system. He took aim at the fact that these people can't teach the Bible in schools, but somehow it's acceptable to tell kids that America is fundamentally flawed and that men can get pregnant. He doesn't just stop at criticism though. Trump is furious that the same people pushing these ideas are entrusted to educate millions of American children 6 hours a day, every day. If you're enjoying this deep dive into Trump's takedown of woke culture, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got even more hard-hitting analysis coming up that you won't want to miss. Trump made it clear that the conservative movement must do whatever it takes to free American children from what he calls the captivity of Marxist teachers' unions. For Trump, it's not just about fixing education, it's about saving the country from an ideology he believes is poisoning young minds. And his sole goal is to bring back traditional values and prevent these so-called radical ideas from shaping future generations.
You can't teach the Bible, but you can teach children that America is evil and that men can get pregnant. A man can get pregnant. Can't even talk about the Bible. You would not trust these people to babysit your children for 20 minutes. And why should we then let them educate millions of American students 6 hours a day, year after year after year?
In another one of his most famous takedowns, when a feminist at a conference tried to challenge him on women's issues. Spoiler alert, it didn't go well for her.
So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can prove me wrong, but I don't think that you're a friend to women.
I knew I shouldn't have picked her. I knew I shouldn't have picked her. All right, so let me give you that answer right now. I respect women incredibly. I have had women working for me in positions that they've never worked in terms of construction, in terms of so many different jobs. I had a woman who was in charge of the building of Trump Tower many years ago, before it was even thought, before anybody would have even thought of it, and did a fantastic job. I have given women more opportunity than I would say virtually anybody in the construction industry. I have a daughter named Ivanka and a wife named Melania who constantly want me to talk about women's health issues because they know how I feel about it, and they know how I feel about women. I respect women. I love women. I cherish women. You know, Hillary Clinton said he shouldn't cherish.
And in true Trump fashion, he didn't just defend himself, he flipped the script. His boldness came through when he listed his track record of empowering women in traditionally male-dominated fields. But it wasn't just about women's rights. Trump's criticism of the woke movement extends much further. But it didn't end there. The woman pushed him further, asking whether women would make the same as men under his presidency, and whether she could control her own body. And his reply was simple, but bold.
I want to get paid the same as a man, and I think you understand that. So if you become president, will a woman make the same as a man, and do I get to choose what I do with my body?
You're going to make the same if you do as good a job. You're going to make the same if you do as good a job, and I happen to be pro-life. Okay, I'm pro-life.
That's right. In just one sentence, Trump dismissed the concept of systemic wage inequality, boiling it down to one simple idea: performance. This exchange stood out because Trump was in a cross-political setting, not at one of his usual rallies filled with his supporters. The audience wasn't necessarily on his side, yet he handled the confrontation smoothly, particularly when it came to the hot-button issue of reproductive rights. Well, when it comes to the issue of pro-life, a lot of woke people do not hold back in their criticism. They argue that it's a fundamental right for women to control their own bodies, and any opposition to that is seen as an attack on personal freedom. But Donald Trump isn't swayed by their outrage. He's made his stance clear. He's pro-life, and he's not interested in sugarcoating it. While many politicians tiptoe around the subject, Trump stays firm in his belief, even when it puts him directly at odds with the woke crowd. For Trump, it's not just about politics. It's about standing up for what he sees as a core value, no matter how controversial it might be.
When it comes to women's rights with respect to their reproduction, I think you should leave it to women.
While there are critics of anti-abortion, there's still people, many people, who share the same view as Trump.
What?
They actually have people filming you the whole time.
Cool.
Classic, kill with kindness.
Guess what? Hey,
Destruction of private property. It's against the law.
Somebody gets raped by somebody and they're like, I'm a 16-year-old and I can't have this baby. Think you should keep it?
It's a baby.
Yeah.
If someone is raped and she gave birth and she decided to kill her 3-year-old child.
I meant to get your phone.
Someone call the cops.
Meant to take your phone.
Do not touch me. Someone call the cops.
Honestly, people are getting so worked up over these issues that it's all becoming way too personal. I mean, what's going to happen if we keep going down this road, having these heated conversations, where no one is willing to be tolerant anymore? It's like everyone is constantly on edge, ready to be offended. If we don't start finding some common ground, or at least learning to agree to disagree, can you even imagine what things are going to look like in a few years? It's getting wild out here, and it's only a matter of time before it boils over.
As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique.
However, Trump's takedown of woke culture doesn't end with gender roles. One of his boldest, and for many, most controversial statements came when he addressed the issue of gender identity.
I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth.
With the debate over gender identity heating up like never before, Trump made it clear he's sticking with traditional values, no matter how unpopular they might be with the woke crowd.
Of parents from being forced to allow their minor child to assume a gender which is new and an identity without the parent's consent. The identity will not be new, and it will not be without parental consent. No serious country should be telling its children that they were born with the wrong gender, a concept that was never heard of in all of human history. Nobody's ever heard of this, what's happening today. It was all when the radical left invented it just a few years ago. Under my leadership, this madness will end.
Then, he didn't shy away from one of the most controversial topics in sports right now. Trans athletes competing in women's events. You know, the one that's got everyone talking. Trump dove right in, calling out the situation for what it is, and let's be real, he wasn't about to hold back on something this divisive. Whether people love or hate his stance, there's no denying he knows how to stir up a debate, especially when it's something that's already firing people up on both sides.
Pushing policies that would destroy women's sports. A lot of new records are being broken in women's sports. Hate to say that, ladies, but got a lot of new records. They're being shattered. You know, for years, the weightlifting, every ounce is like a big deal for many years. All of a sudden, somebody comes along and beats it by 100 pounds. Boom, boom. Now, young girls and women are incensed. that they are now being forced to compete against those who are biological males.
Trump tapped into what many feel but don't dare say. The response from the crowd tells the whole story. People aren't just fed up. They're exhausted by the perceived absurdity of allowing trans women to compete against biological women.
You see these records, weightlifting records that stood for 18 years. 18 years, and now they're being broken by like 100 pounds. They used to put a little tiny, a quarter of an ounce and a quarter of an ounce on these barbells, and a young woman would get up and she's a great champion. Little quarter, little thing, little. 18 years it stood. 18 years. And she got up and she's so proud. Her parents are there. And she gets up. Mom, Dad, I can't do it. I can't do it. Then this guy comes along. Have you lifted before? No, I haven't, really. Well, you're going to have to lift this weight over your head. And he said, that's all right. I should be able to do it. He goes like this. Then he said, how about adding 100 pounds to it? And I'll tell you what, if I were ever, I'd be the greatest women's basketball coach in history. Because I don't like LeBron James. I like Michael Jordan much better. But I'd go up to LeBron James. It doesn't matter. I'd say, LeBron, did you ever have any desire to be a woman? Because what I'd love you to do is star on my team that I'm building up. I will have the greatest team in history. They'll never lose. Nobody will come within 70 points of this team.
Trump's knack for using humor to disarm his critics and rally his supporters is one of the reasons he's been able to resonate with such a large segment of the population. And for him, the concept of woke culture is ripe for ridicule. But beyond the jokes and sarcasm, Trump's message is clear. Woke culture, in his view, is a dangerous threat to common sense, fairness, and freedom. And of course, Trump isn't stopping with just politics or sports. He's coming for the woke companies too. He's calling for an end to businesses that are bending over backward to cater to woke ideologies, saying they're destroying the values America was built on. In true Trump fashion, he's taking aim at these corporations, accusing them of losing touch with everyday Americans by pushing agendas no one asked for. He's all about bringing back businesses that focus on real customers, not virtue signaling. For him, it's about calling out these woke companies for what they are and making it clear that pandering to the extremes is a losing game.
Failed former President Donald Trump has revealed that he is compiling a list of woke companies and that Anheuser-Busch is not going to be on that list. He says Anheuser-Busch, after the Dylan Mulvaney situation, has paid the price for what they did. Have they? All right. But that they are not going to be on his list of woke companies. Now, this once again should really concern those of us who are not authoritarian lunatics.
Now, of course, not everyone agrees with Trump's stance. In fact, much of the mainstream media has labeled his views as regressive, harmful, and out of touch. But despite the backlash, Trump continues to gain traction, especially with those who feel alienated by the rapid cultural shifts in America.
And you know, the amazing thing, because of our crazy woke society, and I hate the word woke actually, because nobody even has a real accurate description. It means lack of common sense more than anything else. But because of...
Donald Trump's war on woke culture is far from over. Whether you agree with his views or not, there's no denying that he struck a chord with millions of Americans who feel left behind by the rapid changes in society. And as the 2024 election is in the corner, one thing is for certain. Trump isn't backing down. He's coming for woke culture, and in his mind, he's winning. But here's the real question. Is the fight against wokeness a step toward true freedom, or is it pushing us further into division? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this unfiltered look into the cultural wars, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Stay tuned. There's much more to come.